Good morning. As Ian said, I'm Donna Kingett. I'm from Yorkshire Water. I'm the AMP7 Contract Strategy Manager. So AMP7 is our next periodic timeline that applies from April 20. It's a 5-year block of time. So as Ian said, yes, we are first off the blocks, I think, on the Alliance contract, primarily because I sat here last year eagerly awaiting the launch of the NEC4 documents, having been pre-drafting, thinking what might come and what we were expecting from our first contract under NEC4, which was a PSC contract for our strategic planning partner, only to hear that option G had gone. And we were sat there going, oh my goodness, what are we going to do? Because we've no option G. So I wasn't going to be sat here this year hearing lots of changes about the Alliance contract that we weren't ready for. So thank you to Ian and his team for working with us on that. I'm also conscious that I'm now standing between the panel and lunch, and we are slightly over, so I shall do my best to skip through this. So just 4 points that I really want to cover is really why we're changing and moving to an Alliance contract, our supply chain partnering model, and just a little flavour of some of the things we're doing in selection. What our requirements are for our Alliance and what our non-infrastructure works look like, and then really kind of dovetailing into what Ian said around why we've chosen the Alliance contract. We've heard quite a lot this morning about some of the things and the flavours of things that I've got up here on the screen. A big issue in Yorkshire is that over 30% of our customers are in water poverty. So actually paying their water bill is a challenge for them every day, and that's something that's really critical to us. So we need to lower the cost of delivery, and we've been driven by Ofwat to do that, and we absolutely believe that the customer is at the heart of everything we do. So that's our prime driver in the next asset management period. To do that, we're looking at different things, so obviously innovative solutions and thinking about how we do things, not only what we do. And in making sure that all of our people are doing this safe and well every single day. And when I say our people, that extends to our whole supply chain. And we are driving through some of the change. I have heard quite a bit this morning about things like diversity and skills. I think if a client isn't driving that, then I think the supply chain is going to struggle to do that as well. So we absolutely believe that's critical in terms of our client leadership. So we're looking at the whole TOTEX approach, and what we need our Alliance partners to do is work with us to drive right from, can we actually eliminate the risk right at this front end? Can we do that during the strategic planning process? And if we do get through that sort of planning process and actually go into build, then we need to build less and we need to build smart. And that is about just sort of standard products, off-site designs, off-site manufacture, etc. But really putting the thinking in up front, that's where the value curve is, and that's where the money can be driven at, and where we can make sure we do achieve best value. Once we're on site, if we're making change, then that's costing us, not adding to. So we're applying a 6 capitals approach to everything we're doing for our next sort of 5-year period, and it looks right from financial capital right through to social capital, and we're using this to run our selection process. So we will make sure that we assess all of these different aspects as part of our procurement process. So the first stage that the Alliance bidders have just gone through with us has looked at these 6 areas, and they have been assessed against these 6 areas. It is quite different for us as a client as well, because typically we'd be looking at the technical aspects and the cost, so the commercial value. We're actually having to think a little bit different. Well, how do we measure intellectual capital? How do we measure social capital? What we're doing on human factors. So we're looking at things like the human factors interfaces. We've got a safeguarding officer appointed to help protect our vulnerable customers, and we're looking for our supply chain partners to do to take on board these same aspects. So in terms of our model, it's actually a really simple model going forwards. As I said, I sat here last year thinking about how we were going to make our first appointment under NEC4, which we did, and our strategic planning partners started work with us in January of this year. We had some teething trouble along the way as we moved through what that NEC4 arrangement meant, but we did it and we were appointed, and we're now working under that arrangement. We are looking to do our infrastructure works, that's our below ground networks, so our water and sewerage assets. They'll be done through either a term service or a short form contract, and that's still to be decided. That won't go to market until probably March next year. We have our enhanced direct delivery arrangements, which are predominantly direct arrangement with our typically tier 2 partners. So we're taking out the tier 1 level in there, and we're directly managing, and we're taking on more of the administrative aspects of that ourselves with no NEC PM to interface. So we're actually upskilling as a client and making sure that we can carry out those functions ourselves under the contract. And the big area of work, which is our non-infrastructure alliance, is the one that we're currently working on. So we're just about to complete the RFI stage, of which we have also done behavioural assessments. So it was interesting to hear Ian's story of toilet rolls. We didn't do that. I designed it and ran it myself, and it was a practical task, and it was about our assets and how we operate, and actually seeing how teams worked on a genuine task. So yeah, my experience, similar to yours, was I didn't want to do spaghetti and marshmallow type exercises, so we ran a real task of something that we actually have to do, which worked really well, and that formed about 30% of our first stage mark, so we put a high proportion on that. And we will move through the 6 capitals approach in the next stage, and there will be a proportion of that which will behavioural assessment as well. And then supporting our delivery arrangements, we will have a further round of procurement, which we have just issued call for competition on for our assurance partners. So we will go in and audit and govern the agreements that we have in place, and they will again be on our PSC arrangements. And we are trying to get closer to our supply chain, so definitely the standard products arena, the off-site manufacturing, so we're looking to actually directly contract with some of those suppliers of those services going forward. So the big block of work, as I said, it's probably around about 1.1 billion over 11 years. So not big in sort of some of the terms we've been talking about today, but absolutely massively important for all our customers in Yorkshire. So around about £100 million a year above ground water and wastewater treatment. Those jobs around the treatment works will be mandated across in the programme to our alliance partners. So they will not be points for the board to accept or not accept, as Ian's alluded to earlier under that programme. We will mandate that those jobs will go into the alliance. What will be discretionary will be other base jobs and our potential escalation events. We tend to either have flood or drought every AMP, so we have to deal with some kind of escalation. Yeah, we are at the hands of the gods sometimes, but we do have the ability then within the alliance to bring those other works through. And really it's just reinforcing all the points that Ian's made around it. It is about getting clear objectives and making the rewards equitable. I won't reinforce this because I think you've heard it lots of times, and Ian's also said it. It is about working together and making sure that it is about best person in those roles and making sure the alliance works effectively together. So why did we go for an alliance contract? Well, we've worked on NEC contracts in Yorkshire, and I've known Ian probably since mid-90s. We've gone with NEC right through. We haven't moved away from it. We believe it does work. It's worked for us, it's worked for our partners, and we very much operate on a partnering type arrangement. If I'm truly honest though, that is still an element of master-slave there. So we need to move away from that. To drive the strategic change that we need, we as a client have got to do things differently as well. And actually I think it's probably harder in some ways for the client to make the shift than it is for our partners. So we are thinking now about how do we let that programme of works go. We are quite ad hoc really in how we normally release work, so how do we get to a point where we're in a position to release the programme through as fully furnished as we can at the start of the AMP? And how do we truly be collaborative? I sit in rooms and listen to some of my colleagues and say, well, that's all right, but the partners will be hiding it and they'll have return here and they'll have money there. And, you know, it's really hard to change some of those mentalities. And it's very easy to kind of sometimes myself sit there and think, yeah, is this really going to work? Well, actually, if we don't give it a try and really put everything into it, then no, it won't work. So we've got to go into this absolutely eyes open and really listening to our partners. We're going to appoint 2 partners to our arrangement, to our alliance. We are selecting both of those independently, and the wedding rings there, we're actually going to sort of make that forced arrangement, forced marriage if you like. So the partners won't come together and bid into us, we will put them together and set that arrangement up. So actually the testing of behaviours and how different teams work is really, really vitally important for us through this. I've been failed by Google recently, so one of my colleagues in the audience that's with me today, we've been trying to work out, well, how do we set the strategic objectives and what does that performance table look like? Well, of course, you Google an NEC 4 Lines contract performance table and there's nothing. So we've got nothing to work on. So we literally are coming off the fence and kind of trying to come up with something that might or might not work. So I think, you know, we are going into this kind of eyes wide open that we probably won't get it right first time. And one of the hard bits for us as a business as well, because we are very controlling in that regulated environment, it's public health we're dealing with, you know, so it is quite, our product's really important to us, our brand is really important to us. So actually we're going to hand over this whole package to our alliance and say, you know, let's get on with this, let the alliance almost operate autonomously. But we do have a front end and a back end process, so we need to get the risk out of the business and we need to get back into operation at the other end. So how do we do that effectively? And that's actually proving quite challenging, and we've got what we now call in our big white box in the middle, which is the alliance operation, and we're trying to work out what our client requirements are within that scope to make sure we actually set some of the ground rules that then, as part of the alliance, as a client works with those partners to develop the detail. What we've actually done is we took, and if there's any, I know there are some of our partners in the room today, our existing incumbents, but we took our existing contracts and we looked at all the things we cover. And we don't have massive amount of Z clauses, we're doing line change. So it's even more difficult to find sometimes. So we have some Z clauses, but then we also do in line change. So we've got really quite complicated arrangements that built up under NEC since the mid-90s. So what we've done is we've taken a lovely 4-box model and we've taken all the bits of our existing agreements and we've split them up to where we think they'll best sit under the new contracts. And we're actually trying to work out, so from our framework thinking into contract thinking, which is also quite different for us. So we're needing to specify under the scope and under the client requirements exactly what we want from this contract, and it is a contract, it's not a zero value framework that we'll add contracts to. So again, that's having to sort of be shaped as we think and work through this. And one of the really important parts for me was we will be required come 1st of April 20 to be ready to go. But that for me is a massive challenge, to have a newly established arrangement under a new form of contract ready, enabled, and all the behaviours in the right place and people clear about roles and responsibilities to actually get up and deliver those jobs on 1st of April 20. So I'm looking for an award in April of next year, which gives me 12 months to actually, and I think it's going to take that long. And if I'm really honest, I think my colleagues will be the hardest part to get right in that arrangement. So actually bringing in sort of some of our wider teams and actually getting them working collaboratively with the partners is going to be quite a challenge. But we have given ourselves 12 months to actually work on that sort of behaviours, building the trust, getting the processes right, and actually we've got to limit what we put into the contract to the bare minimums, and actually let the alliance that we'll be part of develop and furnish the content as we move through. So I would say if you're embarking on this journey, I'm happy to have a chat with you. It's not easy. You need to get up every morning and think we can do this, because there'll be so many reasons not to do it. But I think if you are looking to drive strategic change and you want to make a difference, then the alliance contract is a great way to do it. Ian and his team are really, really supportive as well, and you can ask them the stupid questions. I ask quite a lot of those stupid questions at the moment. But I think if you want to do this, you've got to go into it kind of eyes wide open. it's not an easy answer. If you think alliancing is simple, it's not, and it is proving challenging for us. So I hope that's been useful and just giving you a snippet, and we might be here again next year telling you how wonderful we are and ready, you know, we're rolling, we've done the first quarter.
Thank you.
Thank you.